Real Madrid, Manchester City. What a strange, exotic and fascinating Champions League tie this is turning into. Last week, you saw me get exuberant. Oh, Viv Nicholson. Spend. Like a kid before Christmas, excited about the quality of the game, the words that were issued before and afterwards. Sorry if you thought that was over exuberant, but that's me. You like the blue touch paper? Stand well back. I'm en route to Madrid right now, and I expect to feel similarly about the game in the Bernabeu, because there's a sense of desperation about both teams. Last week, Pep Guardiola was tired, angry. He spoke as if he was resigned. His changes that I talked about when Akanji went off and Stones went into the back instead of playing Pivotti were forced upon him. And it looked like not only would Akanji definitely be out, but Haaland at the weekend went off and away. And yet, he's there. Might play. 2 in the last leg. There's more still to come from Erling Haaland, in my opinion. Marmoush, scored against the mighty Dandies in last season's Europa League, is a flying machine. Madrid don't defend quite like City's rivals at the weekend, but they don't like pace. They're still going to have a slightly jigsaw put together defence in that Lucas is in the squad, but do they play Lucas at right back instead of Valverde? I don't think they do. Does Rudiger or Alaba slot straight in with Asensio? Maybe Rudiger does. I don't think Alaba, is my opinion. Mondi at left back. But the reason I say that this is turning into a strange tie is that it's 13 years, not to the day, since can you win a game in the press conference? In this pre-match, Pep Guardiola was as relaxed, as happy as I can ever remember him in any football stadium. Happier, really, as happy as since I saw him at Valromana's golf club, there for breakfast with his son, ahead of playing Ronald Koeman and his son in a 4-ball. Why? Well, he was effing and blinding, wasn't he? He was loving 2 things. This was, if you haven't seen it, this was he was laid back and he was so calm and he was grinning, and it was the Madrid press. People who've treated him like a demon. People who he has demonised. And he's sitting there almost metaphorically in a smoking jacket and cravat with a great big cigar, and he's like, the difference between fuck off and fuck you. He said, well, my English is good, but I have to be there lots of years to try and give you the etymological differentiation between fuck you and fuck off. But he said both of them carry the same idea. You'll have to ask Jude, the guy that he tried to sign. Jude, the guy he wanted to bring into City at the same time as Josko Gvardiol, and Bellingham said to him, no thanks, I'm going to Madrid. That was a sore one last week and last season. But Pep was also, yeah, guys, you're right. Last week I was so hacked off and you were talking as if we were out. And this isn't a favourable score, but a few days go by, you feel differently. He's got a plan. It wasn't like, yeah, it doesn't matter, we're out, I can relax. Pep thinks he's winning. And I quote the press conference environment because, what was that, 13 years ago, which was in, at that stage, the Santiago Bernabeu press room rather than the training ground room. And if you remember, Guardiola had been suffering, but had been Trappist silent. Barbs from Jose Mourinho all season. Champions League, Pep's first visit to Real Madrid in European football as a coach. And he went, so which one's Mourinho and Florentino's cameras? Which one? All of them. And he started on this rock and roll monologue about Jose. Maybe you remember that we were once colleagues, if not friends. We worked together, we talked about football. In the press conference, you're the fucking boss. Fucking comes out again. El puto amo, the fucking boss. But I don't care. because out there on the pitch, we'll take you on. And they did take him on, and they won. 2 goals from Leo Messi. You're sending off of Pepe too. What happened to Pep today, I don't know, because that pre-match was belligerence, pure belligerence. And remember, on that occasion, he went back to the Madrid hotel where his Barcelona players were staying, having trained and gone straight back to base. And he went into the dining salon to the applause of his players. And he was like, shut up, get on with your meal and concentrate on the game. Secretly chuffed, I think. But the players loved that he'd punched back at Mourinho. There's no such nonsense goes on between Pep and Ancelotti. But I will add something else to this strange, exotic tie. The Bernabeu is a factor. Casemiro gave a huge, long interview to a Diario AS reporter called Tomas Roncero, a guy who literally, when he's at games or he's at his, not his typewriter, but his computer, he's wearing a Madrid strip or a Madrid scarf. Bias doesn't come into it. He is Madrid. He's the ultra Madridista. In person, I've always found him a perfectly pleasant guy. But balance? Couldn't spell balance. Casemiro gave him the interview, and one of the headlines was 3-2 up. The Bernabeu will do the rest. And that's a falsehood from Casemiro. The Bernabeu is one of those tiny percentage of stadiums that can make a difference in a tie, can win a tie. On the 7th minute, what you'll hear if you're there, or if you're watching on TV or listening on radio, is Ia, Juanito Maravilla. Because Juanito, the late Juanito, killed far too young in a car crash. A Costa del Sol born man, a winger, an attacker. Somebody who stamped on Lothar Matthäus' thigh and head and got banned for months and months and months in a huge, ugly battle between Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Juanito was their hero, the guy prior to Sergio Ramos who carried the badge, who carried all the fans' hope and passion and sometimes anger and aggression and hatred. And when Madrid are losing, the newspapers say sometimes we need 11 Juanitos, we need 11 Juanitos. They're not saying that this week because Madrid are good and they're 3-2 up. But the spirit of Juanito is that spirit of remontada. Neil and Martin and Jack, who produced this for you, were watching last week, and Neil immediately, the final whistle went, remontada, the fight back. There's nothing for Madrid to fight back from right now. There might be in the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, because I think City are very dangerous. And I've been at games where the Bernabeu has proven to be astonishing, but for 60, 70 minutes has been nothing. It's one of those crowds, one of those stadia where they turn up there, smoke their cigars, have their beers outside, go in and go, entertain us. And that roaring, that passion, when they meet the bus as it's coming into the far left-hand corner at the top of the stadium, it's mobbed, there are flares going off, there are hundreds and hundreds, you can't move on the pavements. It's beautiful and it's noisy and it's passionate and it's meant to inspire the players. That dies down in the stadium unless somebody in Real Madrid's strip lights the blue touch paper and off they go. It can be about adversity. It can be about one of the players arguing with the referee. It can be about a great goal. And then the Bernabeu roars and urges. But until then, City can quieten them. Enough? Can they knock Madrid out? I'm not predicting that they do, but they certainly can. There are big choices for Ancelotti as to how he frames his 11. Pep's players, I think, have got one more last charge in their minds. I think they've got to do it for the boss. They love their taste of European glory. They've taken their knocks over the seasons. They're staring down the barrel right now, but they could win it. Don't miss the game. I'll be there. I'll give you a report from the Santiago Bernabeu. And let's see if Pep is no coward and smoking a cigar and touching his cravat by the end of what promises to be una noche de locura, a mad evening. Be there, be with me, or be square.